This morning, growing concern that an avalanche of evictions could cause nearly 28 million Americans to lose their homes amid the pandemic. With jobless numbers rising again and some federal unemployment benefits set to expire soon. A recent survey found that 1 in 4 adults either missed their last home payment or are worried about making their next one. Federal and state grace periods protected some families, but many of those safety nets are set to end as soon as this week, leaving mothers like Mercedes Voorhees from Milwaukee in an impossible predicament.
When COVID happened, I had no money. I had absolutely no money. So everything literally stopped. Yeah, we're going to work more on.
Because of the pandemic, her small business came grinding to a halt. When she was unable to pay, her landlord took her to court.
Claim for money to be determined. Eviction.
Forcing her out of this home where she's lived for the past 3 years with her 2 young children.
And I felt like I wasn't a good mom. That I couldn't, that I wasn't, that I could have gave them best. That I kind of put myself in that situation. My daughter looks to me as her hero, because she always says that to me. But at that one time, I just didn't feel that way. And that's because I couldn't, like, every parent wants to give their kid a home, somewhere safe to be. But I couldn't, it felt like I just couldn't do that at the time. Like I just wasn't, like I missed the mark. Like I let them down, and I don't want my kids to go through the same thing, boiling water, and just to be able to clean themselves or to be able to cook. I'm sorry. But my kids look at me like everything. So I just felt like a bad parent, and I felt like I failed my kids. Can you give me a minute?
And Mercedes isn't alone.
Raise your right hand.
Online court hearings like these are happening all across the country.
You're about to be evicted. It's been a pandemic, so I'm out of work.
The United States has never seen this level of threat of eviction or housing instability in our history.
What could this mean for the long term?
Eviction almost always leads to a downward move, to a poor community, to a higher crime neighborhood.
For now, Mercedes has a place to stay, thanks to a last-minute lifeline of county assistance.
And I mean, it can happen to anybody. I didn't understand, for me, that it can happen to anybody.
Morgan joins me now. Oh, Morgan, what a powerful piece. I mean, hearing Mercedes say that she feels like a bad parent, what an incredible sort of encapsulation of what a lot of these individuals are feeling. That was amazing. Such a great piece. But now let's just talk about the bigger picture here. I mean, that's sort of the emotional impact it's going to have on one person. Now, one study saying as many 1 in 5 renters could be evicted by September. What kind of concerns does this bring up about homelessness and finding enough assistance for people?
I mean, the reality of it, Savannah, it's a really intense ripple effect. I mean, experts are estimating a 45% jump in homelessness, and that's really just by the end of this summer. So when you talk about that ripple effect, when you have an eviction crisis like this, especially in one community, it causes higher crime neighborhoods. It causes poor access to social services, to education, to health care, and it actually has really negative health impacts. So, for example, experts say that when you see an eviction crisis like this, it can lead to suicidal ideation, an increase in depression, and it can actually also cause worsening respiratory problems, which, of course, in a COVID-19 pandemic, when the respiratory system is one of the elements that can be attacked, that is a terrible sign. So this is a very dangerous ripple effect that really doesn't just impact those renters who can't pay. It affects all of us.
And let's talk about those that it's impacting disproportionately. The current housing crisis is especially impacting Black and Latino renters. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, this is a story we've seen of COVID, right? I mean, COVID is a virus that has disproportionately impacted our society's most vulnerable. And this eviction crisis is no different. COVID has exacerbated the inequalities that we've already seen exist. So, for example, when it comes to Black and Latino renters, they were 2 times more likely in May to be unable to pay their rent compared to their white counterparts. And then 50% of minority renters are already worried about not being able to pay next month. So especially when it comes to eviction crises like this, they disproportionately affect women and minorities.
Some heartbreaking stuff right there, Morgan. Thank you so much. It's good to see you. As I know you, Mo Rad, good to talk to you, even if it's about something like this. Thanks.
Take care. Ciao.
I've had to kind of figure out how to save my own life.
Nobody can live off that. Like, that ain't even enough to provide food in 1 month. Like, I spend at least $400 regularly on food. What I'm gonna do with $200?
But when you have a child to care for, there is no choice. You can't let your child go hungry. You can't let your child, here in South Georgia, we have 100-degree heat. You can't let your child be that hot. You have to have electricity. You have to have food. You have to have a house.
We wanted to see how important these emergency benefits are to people around the country, so we got in touch with a few recipients. Here's Amy Leyendecker in New Mexico.
I was working for a car dealership in Albuquerque. I was a cashier, so I had direct contact with customers. Well, I have type 1 diabetes. I've got multiple side effects, gastroparesis, vision problems. I'm an amputee. I went on the state unemployment. We got the $600. So this costs me $100 a month. That's just for the life-saving insulin. This is my insulin pump. Every time I order, so every 3 months, it costs me about $2,000. Then I'm also on a Dexcom, give or take $2,000. My job pays for my diabetes. My husband's job pays for everything else. I have health obstacles. I might not get to go back to work to this job ever. I haven't heard. I don't even know if I have a job. They've replaced me. So I have to look at this like I don't have a job.
I can't imagine what it's like to basically be holding back death's door with your hand on the door every day.
My doctor doesn't want me to go back to work until we have 0 cases coming in for days. That could be next year.
Tony Holloway is a single father.
I actually applied for unemployment shortly after the quarantine was announced. My regular unemployment is only $365. That's all I can draw. With everything, bills, my kid, work, I still have to pay for insurance and all this. $365 a week will not suffice to pay the bills. So I'm coming back out and trying to find a way to make the money that I need to make to survive. If this money is not going to continue and things like that to help the American people stay a little bit more safe and stay quarantined, the ones especially that need to, I have a 4-year-old son who's asthmatic, so therefore he's a little bit more prone to the coronavirus. But at the end of the day, I would hate myself if I decided to stay home and not provide for my family, not provide for my son, when I could have just, for instance, bought a sneeze guard or worn PPE and tried to make the money that I need to without penalizing my son for something that he has nothing to do with.
Natia Johnson was a waitress.
Because I'm a money maker. Like, I'm the breadwinner in my family for me and my daughter. So I'm used to making $1,000. So I'm going to go from $1,000 to $53. And that's kind of like a kick in the gut, honestly. That's why this is hard. If it was just me, I'll take risks. I'll do people's hair. I'll babysit people's kids. But I'm risking her life too. I can't take risks like that. So now that I don't want to take risks in me and my daughter's health, I have to get $200 a month from unemployment. What is we gonna do?
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.